Normally when dashing into a pallet as Wesker, you'll either get stunned or simply bump on the pallet, or break it if you have lab photo. But if you perfectly time a dash so that you avoid the stun and the pallet is not yet fully dropped, you'll slide along it and the attached loop, landing right next to the survivor on the other side. This is called a pallet slide, and it's probably my favorite Wesker tech. Now I haven't made a video about pallet slides before, but the UE5 update has completely changed the timing, and I've been getting a lot of questions about it, so I figured now is a great time for a guide. On the surface, pallet slides seem quite easy. All you have to do is dash at a pallet after a survivor drops it and before it hits the ground. And last patch, you'd be right to say that. Pallet slides used to be the most forgiving and simple tech that Wesker had, but as of the UE5 update, it's quite possibly his most difficult. The animation of a survivor dropping a pallet takes about half of a second. While the pallet is still falling to the ground, it does not count as collision for Wesker's power, and whether or not Wesker will bump is calculated the instant you initiate a bound. So, if you dash before the pallet is counted as collision, but after it's dropped, your model will collide with it, while your bound path will not, making you slide off of it. Before this patch, the pallet wouldn't gain collision until the very end of the animation, so you had the full half of a second, or about 30 frames at 60 FPS. This meant you could dash very late and still get pallet slides, making them very easy to perform on reaction. However, as of this patch, pallets now gain collision after the first 18 frames of animation, or 0.3 seconds. This makes it significantly harder to react to, especially when factoring in input latency or survivor animations possibly being obscured or otherwise difficult to read. So, put simply, in order to pallet slide, you just have to dash at a pallet within the first 18 frames of it being dropped. If you go too late, you'll bump and not slide. But if you go too early, you risk being stunned. In order to avoid that, it's best to back up a bit. If you dash on the first frame of the drop at a close distance, you'll get stunned. But dashing from further away will give the pallet time to fall further. Now that you know how to perform a pallet slide, we'll look at what you can do with it. If you pallet slide a pallet that has walls on either side, you'll simply slide in place until the pallet becomes vaultable, and then you'll either vault or your dash will end, whichever comes first. What we want to look for are pallets that are flush with the loop that they're on. When this pallet is dropped, you can see how it lines up with the side of the loop that it's attached to. A setup like this allows you to slide off the pallet and around the loop. You'll always be pushed in the direction you were initially facing, so make sure to line yourself up correctly to slide either left or right, aiming to the opposite side of the pallet you're standing on. Here I've prepared a little clip to help you practice pallet slide timing. Just simply wait for the survivor to drop the pallet and pause the video on reaction to it. If the outline of the video is blue, you got the timing right. If it's orange, you missed. An easier way of knowing when the survivor is actually dropping the pallet is by looking at the item in their hands. The instant the item disappears is the instant they press spacebar to drop the pallet. Judging based on this makes the timing quite a bit easier. After the pallet slide practice, I'll also play a couple of example pallet slides to give you some ideas as to what loops this tech is usable on. And with that, you now know all you need to know to pallet slide. I hope you have fun trying it in real matches, and thank you for watching.
Playtime is over.
Also, no, you cannot pallet slide with that photo, you'll just break the pallet, don't ask. Thank you. Follow me on Twitch.